Just a little reminder to silence your phone or switch it off. Otherwise, if it does go off, it'll just remind us all to switch off our phones anyway. So, yeah. Is it working? That's okay. So, is it working? It's working. So, welcome everybody. Nice to be here again. I'm glad I could come back with this special edition, Friday night edition at Ba Nari here in Bangkok. We will have people joining us online as well, which is such a beautiful thing, as people can relax at home and still practice. So tonight's talk is titled How to Train Your Dragon Ego. So we were discussing, Kun Best and myself were discussing what we could do tonight. And I thought about how to train your ego, and then I remembered the cute little movie called How to Train Your Dragon. And then I thought, well, sometimes your ego can be a dragon also, so let's put it all together. And it's also the Year of the Dragon, with the Chinese Year of the Dragon. And I thought, oh, okay, this all falls together nicely. Let's talk about how to train your dragon ego. So there needs to be a few little clarifications, especially about the term ego. Mostly when we use it, we tend to use the word ego in a negative sense, that you've got a big ego, or you're just following your ego, or something like that. So it turns out a little bit negative. However, when I talk about the ego, I'm talking about it more in the Buddhist sense of self. So, or just personality, your conditioning from the mind, that which from which you operate. So it doesn't have any negative connotations here. Ego, of course, can be positive and negative. It can be, useful and useless, pleasant and unpleasant. It has all the yin and yang qualities. So that's one thing to clarify that about the ego. The other thing is that we are all operating from a so-called self. We're operating from this personality, this person that we believe that we are, and that we've been conditioned to believe that we are. So this is perfectly natural. So again, there's nothing negative about it. Everybody has to have an ego. And what I'm running Vipassana retreats, and when I run a retreat, I often say to people that this is an ego training camp. So really, it's quite interesting, because our egos haven't really been trained. Or I can say we've been trained in lots of things in life. I mean, even when we were little, we were, trained in feeding ourselves. We were trained in using the toilet. We were trained in walking, and then we were trained in riding a bicycle, and trained in reading and writing, and then it's just been going on and on all of our life. We're getting trained in so many things. We got computer training and we got work training, and some of us are still, on various types of trainings. But did we get mind training? And I feel that in my culture and where I was brought up, we really lacked this area of life, training your mind. And especially when you do come to, let's say, for example, Thailand or even Asia, you will find that there are some very ancient traditions in training the mind. And in many places, it is more important to train your mind than to learn mathematics and geography and, business and other such things. So, also when I was a Buddhist monk for 9 years, I largely considered that I was at university. And even though I wasn't in a study monastery, I'm not an intellectual or an academic. I don't really even like to read. I'd much prefer to experience something. So I was in a meditation monastery. But still, I felt that I was in a university, a place of learning. And that university was 24 hours a day, 365 days of the year. It's not like when you're a Buddhist monk, you just, throw off your robes and go for a holiday to Phuket or somewhere, or go snow skiing, go to the waterfalls, for example, and, chill out or whatever. Every minute of every day, you're a Buddhist monk and you are in training. So it was a very intensive university, in fact. And as I said, where I was practicing, where I was a monk, was a study, was not a study, it was a practice monastery. So we were taught to be mindful all the time, as much as possible. And I'm so grateful to my great first teacher, Sayadaw U Janaka, or Chamye Sayadaw, who is a direct disciple of Mahasi Sayadaw, who's a very well-known and famous monk in Myanmar. My Sayadaw, my teacher, would always emphasize the mindfulness of daily activities. He even said, without mindfulness of daily activities, your meditation is hopeless. Without mindfulness of daily activities, meditation is hopeless. This is a very strong statement coming from a very great master, which means that you can sit your butt down with your legs crossed and meditate as much as you like, but it's actually not really going to help you in what we call the real world, in your day-to-day life. It will help in the sense that meditation, or formal meditation, is for training your mind. But you have to take what you get from that meditation and you have to apply it to your life, wherever you go, whatever you do, as much as possible. And if you really feel and understand what this means, it means your life becomes meditation. Your life becomes a meditation retreat, where everywhere you go and everything you do, as much as possible, you try to remind yourself of exactly what you're experiencing here and now. Whether it's what you feel in your body, whether it's what processes are happening in your mind, or even your spatial awareness around you, knowing what is happening around you. But not just noticing what's happening around you, but how am I reacting to what's happening around me? How is what's happening around me impacting on my physical body and on my mind? This is how the meditation filters into and flows into everything we do as much as possible. So tonight I'd like to offer you a guided meditation. We'll feel a little bit of what I call freestyle vipassana. I call it freestyle vipassana because there are many different styles of vipassana, and if you go to Myanmar or Burma, for example, there are many different schools and many different masters teaching their own way of vipassana. Outside of Myanmar, we don't see so many. We see Mahasi Sayadaw's vipassana, which I've just mentioned to you, which has its own particular characteristics, like observing the rising and falling of the abdomen and mentally labeling your experience in the present moment. Also Goenka Vipassana, which is the classic 10-day silent course, where you are taught to scan the body for sensations and associated sankharas, or mental states. There's also a somewhat lesser known practice from called Pa-Ok, which is practicing various types of samatha meditation, which leads into vipassana, which then leads into understanding past lives and other such things. So these are just to name a few. There are many different schools of vipassana meditation. And I've practiced some of those, and some other styles of meditation as well. Zen meditation is also very closely related to vipassana meditation. Certain aspects of Zen are